Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana market update video. Today is Friday, August 30th. Happy Labor Day weekend to everyone here in the States. Hopefully you guys all have some good plans, some rest, chasing around the kiddos, spending some time with the family, etc. Today we're going to get into some sealed products. We're going to get into a couple different individual cards that I'm buying. And then we are going to talk about, we don't have an overrated today. We're going to talk about the underrated is kind of something that I'm going to get into with some of the cards that I've been buying as of late. And then we are going to talk, for Collector's Corner today, we're going to be showing off some Pokemon cards that I've been collecting. And I've got them graded. I probably need to get them cross graded and whatnot. We'll get into that into the collector's corner side of things. Kicking us off today, I want to actually switch views here really quick and talk about the box of first chapter that I got from Amazon. So this is the $143.99 box that I got on Amazon a couple days ago. Came in, opened it, everything looks great. It was sold via Amazon. It had like the Amazon like name on there. It wasn't a Prime deal, but it was $143.99, no shipping. So overall, it was a very good purchase. Now, the interesting piece of this, and we will be doing an opening of this, it'll come out this weekend, just a heads up. But the interesting piece of this is I got an invoice with it from Ravensburger. So this box came specifically from Ravensburger's fulfillment center and warehouse in Indiana. I thought that was interesting. We had speculated that maybe these were coming from Ravensburger directly. I don't really know what to think about this, to be completely honest, because part of me feels like they're selling them through Amazon for a reason. Now, Amazon's not fulfilling it. It's coming from Ravensburger. They sent me an invoice. They printed this off after I ordered it and fulfilled it, but they're selling it through Amazon. So are they trying to not disrupt public sentiment as they offload the remainder of their first chapter? What's kind of the play here? Because they have the Disney store, the .com that sells the product. They can obviously send it to their LGSs, which at that point they would take a little bit of a cut if it's going through distro. So like, okay, so I get that. But then they could also just sell it through their Ravensburger website, through their Disney website. And it just I don't really know why they're doing it. I obviously they can't mark up their product, right? MSRP is $143.99 for the first chapter, so they're selling it at MSRP. My guess is that they're doing it through Amazon to save the public sentiment of them selling their own product at MSRP without losing the margins of sending it through distro to LGSs or retail, etc. I just thought that it was very interesting that it was fulfilled by Ravensburger. I was not expecting that, and so I wanted to share that with you guys. Do with that information what you will. I just thought it was worth sharing. I was very surprised to see that it was fulfilled by Ravensburger. So, are they at the end of it? Are they doing it for tax purposes? Your guess is as good as mine. I just thought that I'd put it out there. Getting into some of the sealed stuff for today, guys. There's a couple things I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of. First and foremost, the D23 collector's box. Once again, if you've been eyeing that, it is starting to creep up. I don't think it's anything that you need to rush into. I think that we're probably going to be around like a 230 to 250 price point for a while, unless we see a significant influx of supply. But this product is going to have legs. It is, time frame, I'm not sure, but it is going to be a good collector's item. There's some playable cards in there. They're very unique art. Obviously, we've seen how the original D23 boxes did. Now, these aren't going to be any tomatoes and tomato, or apples and oranges, tomato. But at the end of the day, it's apples and oranges, and you can't compare the two, but this product is going to have legs. There's a lot of demand for it. So there's a lot greater supply than the original box, but there's also a lot of demand. The first chapter boxes are still being impacted by those Amazon sales from Ravensburger. I haven't seen any for a couple days, so I think they might be drying up. But at the end of the day, you can get a first chapter box for essentially like $205. The expected value on the first chapter today is $206. So it has been very rare that you can buy a first chapter box and buy it under the expected value. There's a couple listings here that kind of fall right at that line. So it definitely is a good time to buy some first chapter. Obviously, Keep It Sealed is a great long-term play if you want to chase that Enchanted and add some cards to the collection, get some singles to sell to recoup some of the investment, etc. Right now is as good as time as we're probably ever going to have for the first chapter as it relates to expected value and the prices of the given boxes. So just a heads up there. Quick reminder on expected values today. We have Floodborn at 113. We have Inklings at 105. We have Ursula's Return down at 72. And then we have Shimmering Skies at 107. So Shimmering Skies holding very strong. Lowest listed box on TCG Player is 120, or not 120, 112. I think this is going to continue to do very, very well. So many playable cards. We have some big tournaments coming up. I think the price points for Shimmering Skies are going to remain very, very consistent. Would not touch Ursula's Return with the 10-foot pole. It is unopenable at this point. Unless you're getting them for $70 roughly a box, I would not be touching this product. Go out, buy the singles, buy the cards you need from that set. That is the route I would go. I would not buy this product open until we see it significantly drop off. There's so many boxes available. You can see 74 listings. When we look at Shimmering Skies, 47, 56, 25, 46, more than any other product. That's because it's such a poor value. Do not pay $100 for an Ursula's Return box. Either pay a little bit more to get Shimmering Skies or get one of the older sets. Do not open Ursula's Return unless you just look. If you love Ursula's Return and you want to open it, right, then do it. Don't listen to me. But at the end of the day, it's in a very bad spot. So I would advise against opening Ursula's Return. With that being said, another box I want to bring to your guys' attention was the Disney 100 collector's box from Rise of the Floodborn. This is a box that I've talked about before, the gift set replacement for this particular set. I'm a huge fan of this box. You get the 6 alt arts, you get 4 Floodborn packs. The MSRP on this, I believe, was like $59.99, and we've kind of seen it stick around there, and it is starting to like kind of get back up to MSRP, a little bit higher at 65, and you can see on the first page here it does get up to 70. This is a product that I think is going to have some decent collectability long term. It's a good display piece. It looks very cool, but then it's jam-packed full of value. So this is something that if you're looking to add something to your collection in kind of the mid-tier price range where it's not $10-20, but it's also not like 100 to 500, 1,000, etc. I think this product makes a lot of sense. It's good to open. Like I said, it's jam-packed full of value. The single cards and the packs combined equal the price that you're paying for the box. In combination with it's from set 2. We know that set 2 was not printed as much, or we are under the impression that set 2 was not as printed as much as some of the other sets, and so this could be a decent long-term hold. Once again, something that I have in my sealed collection. I have a ton of the promos. I'm just a huge fan of this product, and it is starting to get up into a decent price of 65. In terms of sales, let's look at the sales volume really quick here. So we've had one sale today for 42, 52, 59 yesterday, a couple days ago. So it doesn't sell too much. But you can see there are 70, 65, etc. I just think this is a product, once again, long term, I think is going to have legs, and it's going to be a really cool display piece. So just something I wanted to put you guys on as it does start to creep up. Maybe wait until we see some cheaper prices come in, like someone sold one for 42. That's a great deal. My guess is that it probably had $25 of shipping on it, just to be completely honest. But we'll see what happens there. Another interesting tidbit, if you guys remember in a video from a couple weeks ago, there were some first chapter boxes that were listed, or cases that were listed for like $750. Let's see if we can't find them on the yeah, here we go. $734, $759, even the $784. The person who bought these commented on our video and said, hey, as soon as I saw those, I scooped up all the low listing ones, and the seller just canceled the orders. So these weren't even real. The person who listed them at these prices just voided them as soon as they were ordered for whatever reason. Maybe up the price, I don't know. But just keep in mind that sometimes with TCG Player, these like fake sales, listings, etc. do happen. Charmander, a long-standing member of the community, he once bought it. There were 3 Elsas, I think, for sale for like $700 or $600, all near mint. The listing looked very sketch. The seller looked very sketch. He was willing to take the risk on it. He bought them all, and it was a fake listing. And so TCG Player does a good job of like refunding and things like that. But it's just a good to, not too much. Yeah, it's not very actionable. But it is good to know that some of these listings, like once the seal goes through, TCG Player, as far as I know, doesn't really go back and delete inaccurate sales data. So like these listings here, like that didn't actually happen. The 2 boxes for $734. So just keep that in mind. with the first chapter and some of these listings that you're looking at. If you see an outlier, it probably just truthfully didn't happen and probably was voided. I will say that as we get into the market recap for August. Sorry, I'm fixing the mic here. It's been wobbling a lot. I hope it wasn't too unbearable in the video. But as we get into the market recap for August, which should be out either this weekend or early next week, I do, when I'm compiling the sales data, I do typically take into account outlier sales and usually like kind of, just use common sense on like, okay, did this happen? Was someone trying to up the listing price to try and get some free attendees, catch someone off guard, etc. So I usually try and eliminate that data as much as possible. If all of the other high sales are around 1,000 and we have one sale at 1,800, then that just tells me that was a fake sale, right? Probably didn't go through. So we do try and incorporate that into the monthly recaps. I am going to take your guys' insight and feedback that you left on that last video for the July market recap and incorporate that into August. So hopefully we continue to get some good feedback there. Share your thoughts. Let me know what you think. But that will be coming out this weekend. I'm very excited to see month-over-month sales data and how that starts to compile and compare against each other. I think that'll be very fun to see. But apart from that, that's pretty much it on the sealed front, guys. Moving over to some of the singles, something that I've been doing a lot lately is, and I shouldn't say lately, that I've been in the duration of Lorcana, and I've talked about them before, so I apologize if you've been around and you've heard me go on this rant. Not really rant, but I really like the idea of collecting a bulk amount of cards that are available that didn't come out of booster packs. So historically within this collectible hobby and in the trading card game hobby, the cards that see the most gains over time or that are typically the most valuable are cards that don't come out of booster packs. Obviously you have your Enchanteds and you have your Chases that command a lot of value, but a lot of the times the cards that command a significant premium are ones that do not come from those packs. Things like the Illustrator, the magazine promos, the various different old Pokemon cards, trophy cards, etc., that didn't come out of booster packs, but that hold a high premium, like some of the Battle Road stuff, the Tropical Mega Battle, all of the just various different trophy cards. These cards aren't coming out of booster packs, whether it's an art contest, etc. So I just like the idea, and let me phrase this with, in Lorcana we don't have much of that yet. You pretty much have the demo cards, you have the D23 cards, and then you have the collector's box cards, right, give or take. And then apart from that, you have the organized play league promo cards. And these league promo cards are incredibly cheap, and they're especially incredibly cheap in the time that we're in right now. If you are like me and you believe that Lorcana is going to continue to grow and evolve, then cards like this are just options that I like to acquire a bulk position in case the game does grow, and in case people do want to go back and collect all the promos. I want to have a good amount of these available in my store for people to purchase down the road. So that's kind of my mindset with these. These cards are not, I mentioned some very heavy hitting cards there with like the Illustrator, Tropical Mega Battle, etc. These are not those. These are cards that are given out for people who go and play organized play events for set 1, set 2, set 3, etc. So that is what these cards are. They were given out for free for participation, and at the end of the day, I just think some of them make a lot of sense. So one that I'm a huge, and I cannot understate my position in this card enough, I have a lot of these cards. So I'm, you can see this as, just full transparency, pumping my own bags, etc. I definitely own a lot of these cards. But a card that when I came in to the hobby, this card was like in its current I don't know, play phase where it's like being given out in the stores, and people just didn't value it. I was finding stores that maybe got the organized play kit that didn't have the attendance. They were listing their entire quantity of these cards for 20 to 25 cents a piece, sometimes 30 cents. I would say my cost basis is probably somewhere in between like 20 and 30 cents for the cards that I have of this particular card. And I just thought, hey, it's a Cinderella card. It's cold foil. It's got some unique art. Actually, let me go grab one real quick, just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Quick little off-camera movement there. Let me switch the camera view here. It's just a very unique card. It's a double sleeve, so I apologize, but it's got like some like lines going through the font. You can kind of see the text font there. It's got some pretty cool cold foil lines, and it's a cold foil princess, cool art. So I was just like, look, it's got a lot of the underlying fundamentals that I'm looking for as like a longer term hold. And so I went out and bought a ton of them. Anytime I saw a bulk listing of 25, I bought some 50 quantity listings, 25 quantity listings, essentially at like 20 to 30 cents a piece. And I just thought that made a lot of sense. And so I've continued to do that on some of the more iconic organized play IPs that are out there. And you can see now there's like a couple listings at around like 79 cents, 2 cards. But then once you start to get up here, I mean, you're looking at, I've sorted by price and shipping, cheapest available. We get pretty close to $2 just in like a couple sales. So, and like I said, my cost base, I have a ton of these, and I don't say that to brag. I just say that because I feel like I really need to be transparent anytime I'm talking about something and recommending it or recommending a strategy when I've imported it myself and I have a large position in it. So I'm not doing that to brag. I hope you guys understand that. But at the end of the day, I think going through in some of these, like some of the current play sets or some of the current promos, like maybe Finders Keepers, Ursula's Lair, Nala, etc., might make sense if you can find stores that are listing their entire quantity for extremely cheap. It might make sense to go out there and get those. So that's something, once again, that I've implored. I'm a huge fan of just these promos overall. I think this is very much an item that, not so much ignore like the trophy cards and whatnot, but specifically the organized play promos. I think they make a ton of sense, and I think that like situations like the Bucky may arise where I had gone out and bought a ton of the Buckies. I think they were like, I don't know my cost base on those, to be completely honest. I can't remember. I bought a ton of them. I found some bulk listings, right? Bought a ton of them. Then that errata error happened where I had some listed at $15 just as a one-off, and they all sold out in a day, that on that initial errata hype. Like I didn't even think they would sell. I just had like a couple play sets listed for people who'd want them. I sold a ton of them at $15 a piece. Like that covered every, probably every dollar I spent on organized play promos. But I just more or less want to have a good collection of these things, like the Mickey Mouse Detectives, very playable. But this is a good lesson to learn. Things like the Scrooge McDuck Uncle Moneybags. This was a card that was originally given out in France at, I think it was like an event. Maybe it was set 3 release. I can't remember, but there was a very scarce amount of them out in the market for a very long time. This card, it had sales at above $100 for months. And then they started getting released at the challenge events. So I think we first saw them in Atlanta, and then we saw some in the events over in like Lille. And so there started to be an influx of Ravensburger, like I guess selling these for tickets or giving them out at these challenge events, and there was a huge influx of supply, and that dropped the price down to $10 essentially for a near mint copy when people were paying over $100 for this card. So it's definitely something that you need to be careful with. That's more on the event specific side of things. This wasn't an organized play promo, but just to give you an idea of like what there's upside with these cards. There's also a tremendous downside. Some of those cards that come to mind are like the Rapunzel Gifted Artist, the 4 Dozen Eggs, the Pinocchio. These cards are cards that we've looked at that have like a sub 50 PSA 10 count. They're cards that already kind of hold a premium. The population PSA 10 count is like sub like 50, I think, give or take. And so these are cards that, as the game continues to grow and as more collectors come in, and these high condition and rarity collectors come in and they see sub 50 gem mint 10s, they're going to be willing to pay a premium for them. So cards like the Pinocchio, the Rapunzel, etc., 4 Dozen Eggs, those can command a very significant premium in the future as you put that long time horizon on it. You put the customer acquisition funnel, all of the things we constantly talk about. These cards are cards that can see disproportionate gains for something like maybe an Enchanted that came out of a booster pack. These cards are set up very differently. Now, the side to that is we've seen Ravensburger come out of the blue with some of these promos again and start to give them out at the challenge events. If that happened, and let's say the Pinocchio sees a significant increase, it gets up to $100, $200 market price, PSA 10's going for $500 or whatever it is, because there's just not that many of them. At the end of the day, people are going to start using their prize wall tickets at least challenge events on the Pinocchios and things like that. So keep that in mind. It's not just going to be up and to the right forever, but these promos are cards that I think make a ton of sense and something that I have a very large position of. I have a 5 row of like the bulk boxes that I'm just kind of lining with the different promos as they're affordable and they're cheap. And then as you know, so like ones that I just got in was Ursula's Lair. I bought a few quantity listings of those. Don't think it's, I'm not expecting the world. I paid, you know, they're at 50 cents right now. I don't remember what I paid. I think it was a little bit less than that. Bought a couple bulk listings and set them away, right? Worry about them, you know, a couple of years from now. Bought some hidden ink casters. I pretty much have all of them apart from like Mickey Mouse, Nala, Finders Keepers. There's just a few that I'm waiting on that I just haven't bought yet. But just my strategy with these is find a store that's got a bulk listing where you can get them for 20-30 cents a piece, buy them out. Maybe you pay $2.99 with shipping, and then you get them all, you set them aside and forget about them, right? That's kind of my strategy with it. It's not something where if you're going to buy one or two and you're going to check the price daily, these are not going to do anything in the short term. So I don't want you to get the idea that they are. But at the end of the day, if you go to a particular card, search by item price only, and then look for a quantity like 58 cents plus $1.27 in shipping. Or wait, okay, so this one just doesn't have a lot of quantity listings. 14, 12. But you can see cost basis 50 cent, nothing crazy. But that's what I would do to try and find some of these higher quantity listings, get a decent position, and I think that card looks really cool. And once again, those organized play promos do have, they're all cold foil. They have some unique texture, or not texture, but design in the text box. And so overall, I think that they're a good purchase, and those are my underrated for today as well. Like specifically the Cinderella, like once again, pumping my own bags, but iconic IP with the Cinderella, a very cool art in my opinion, right? With the Knight in Training art, it's an organized play promo, one of the very first ones that were ever in existence. Cold foil, unique text box, etc., etc. It just meets a lot of the qualifications that I'm looking for, and I was buying them at quantities of 50 at a time. You can see that it's began to dry up, and at the end of the day, when you include shipping, the prices has at least doubled, tripled, quadrupled, whatever from when I bought it. And I think that this is something I'm going to continue to do set over set as the organized play promos are released. So that is it on the single card front, guys. Not going to talk too much about any individual cards today. Wanted to really chat about the promos. Shimmering Skies Enchanteds are doing well. Mufasa's up to 270, lowest listing, only 13 on the market. I think that Shimmering Skies is going to continue to do great. Naveen at a market price of 167. You do see one available for 135. Let's check on Clarabelle. I do still have mine listed for 180. I think it's 179.99. Currently sitting at 150 as lowest listing. This is one that has been seeing some decent sales data. One sold today, yesterday, or 4, 5, 7 yesterday. Quite a few the day before. So it would be the first raw enchanted I ever sold, but at 180, so be it. Someone can have it. But that's where we're at for the individual singles guys. Final note: the Ursula's return set championships are getting well below 100 now, almost down to 90. So I'm monitoring those. There's still 51 listings, so there's a lot available. I think it's still going to continue to come down. But friendly reminder: this set championship card, the Ursula, as well as the Stitch, only 4 were given out. They did announce that the next set championship with Mirabelle are going up to 8, and then they're going to kind of reevaluate from there. So in terms of like, once again, you put that long-term time horizon on it. You think back to these could have. Obviously, Stitch is by far going to be the most rare because the game wasn't as popular as it is now. Ursula's Return, there's more Stitches without a doubt because there were more organized play stores. There was just more well-known, more quantity on the market, etc. So there's going to be more of those. But then Mirabelle, with the growth of the game and top 8 getting the trophy card, there's going to be, is it twice as much? Is it triple? 3 times, 4 times, etc. There's going to be an insane amount of population there for that card. So that trophy card might only be 30, 40 bucks, etc. But at the end of the day, Sea Witch Queen store championship card might be falling under the radar a little bit because it doesn't have the provenance of Stitch, it doesn't have the rarity of Stitch, but it's going to be a lot more rare and a lot more scarce than the Mirabelle and ideally cards in the future. So just something to keep in mind. Definitely one that I'm monitoring. I do not have any yet. I have not pulled the trigger. This is also a good reminder not to FOMO in, right? People were paying like $400 or $500 for this card. As I always say, take a step back, Let's wait. Let's exercise some patience here and make sure we're spending our money in the most effective way possible to add these cards to our collection. If you're in the business of doing that, we're getting at a pretty good spot. I would not, if this is a card you've been chasing, I think $93 is more than fair. I do think we're going to continue to see it come down a little bit, just given the quantity that is on the market. But I think long term, it's a great buy. I think it's poised to perform very well over time. With that being said, so like I mentioned earlier, no overrated today. We did the underrated is kind of the organized play promos. Wanted to get into the collector's corner for today is going to be some first edition Team Rocket Pokemon cards that I have in my collection. Huge fan of this set. As you guys know, or most of you know, I am a WotC kid, grew up in the 90s with the Pokemon craze, collected Pokemon for a long time, was not someone who was smart enough to like hold on to their cards and things like that. I think my parents either threw them away or gave them away. I don't have any cards from my childhood. I am very much a Pokemon like kid at heart. I remember like leveraging playing sports as a kid. My performance, like if I was pitching, for example, playing baseball, if I was pitching that night, I would try and leverage a good performance with my dad to try and like go and get cards. I grew up in a blue collar family. We didn't spend a lot of money on things like that. So like anything that I could do to try and get my hands on a pack, I frequently exercised. So I love Pokemon. Grew up with it. It was an amazing time. It was magical without a doubt. With that being said, I didn't have a lot of really good cards in my collection because my parents were not in the business of spending money on Pokemon cards. And so even like if I like had not allowance, if I had like mowed the yard and gotten money, like they wouldn't even let me spend my own money on it. But that's a story for a different day. So with that being said, I have opened quite a few first edition Team Rocket packs. I've gotten quite a few of these graded. Quick last tidbit before we get into these, I did not get a single 10 on any of the pack fresh hollows that I graded. I did get 10s on, like, for example, the non-hollow Dark Charizard. I got a 10. I did get a 10 on the non-hollow Dark Dragonite. Stuff that was pulled from the exact same box, and that has led me to the conclusion that I would bet without a doubt PSA has graded, and look, I'm not faulting them for this, but they have changed their the way that they grade vintage Pokemon cards dramatically. They have made it dramatically harder. I think part of that is because they have their PSA guarantee. Well, they will pay out if you buy that, if they grade like a fake, let's say first edition base set Charizard. If they grade a fake one and you pay $200,000 for it, and it comes to find out that it's fake, and you can trace all that, they're on the hook for a $200,000 like last sale price. They have to pay that to you if it was found out to be fake, and they've had to do that a couple times. And so I think due to that, and due to cards getting hurt, getting shipped back, or whatever it is, they more or less just don't want to be on the hook for premium cards, and so they've started to get a lot harder with how they grade cards. This is the best example I have in this submission. I'm going to take this card. We're going to do this with every card, but I'm going to take this card out of its sleeve just to show you guys. So this, I was I had very high hopes that this card was going to get a 10. It's a first edition hollow Dark Charizard. It's got a swirl right up here in kind of like the sky where Charizard is looking. Card is gorgeous, iconic card, right? One of just the best cards in Pokemon, in my opinion. When this card was pulled, I mean, look at the centering on this. The surface is immaculate. It's got the swirl. Like, this card, like, in my opinion, the front of this card could be like a pristine 10. And when I sent it, I was like, okay, it's got like little to no whitening on the back, a small piece up here in the top right, centering a little bit on the back is like a little thin on the right side, not much. There are many PSA tits that look much worse than this, and it got a 9. So this is one that I'm contemplating cracking and sending to BGS. I've never done a submission to BGS, but I think this is a card that could get a BGS 9.5, and then in theory could cross it to a PSA 10. Haven't done any like grade optimizations like that. I've done some CGC grades, not a fan of that, but I think this is one that I might send to BGS. So this is the first card in Collector's Corner today. Love the Team Rocket set. Love the Dark Pokemon. Love everything that came with that set. I am very excited for the Team Rocket set that's going to be coming out at the end of this year or early next. Cannot wait. So we've got a Hollow Dark Charizard there. We've got another Hollow Dark Charizard. This one got an 8. This one I did expect to get a 9. It's got a little bit more whitening in the back. You can see in the top left there's a dot. Bottom left, there's a dot. Bottom right, there's a dot. This one, I had no anticipations of getting a 10. Was hoping for a 9. It got an 8. totally makes sense. No complaints or qualms with that one at all. My favorite card in the set, the Dark Dragonite. I think the Cosmo Hollow foil on this one with the light blue font is just chef's kiss. I also had a very good learning opportunity with this card. When I pulled it, it had a very, very small white dot on the back in the bottom right. It was much smaller than what you see here. It was in that range of like, oh, maybe I can get like a microfiber towel. Maybe this is just like a piece of dust or something, and I kind of wipe it off. So I got a microfiber towel. I set the card down in a very safe place, and I just the most gentle little stroke of that cloth across the bottom corner there, and it actually, the paint was just like, it was barely holding on, and me wiping it made it worse. And so you can see this is what got it to 8.5. Other than that, it's a very mint card, but that corner, it's having a hard time focusing. But that corner, I mean, it's a significant little speck there of missing paint. So I got the 8.5 grade overall. One of my favorite Pokemon cards of all time. Dragonite, probably my favorite Pokemon of all time. Definitely the cards that the Dragonite has, in my opinion, are top notch. Huge fan of them and love this card to death. Just a gorgeous card. So there we go. First secret rare ever included in Pokemon. For those of you that don't know, it is labeled 83 out of 82 for the Team Rocket set for the Dark Raichu first edition holo. So an amazing card, an amazing art. Was very optimistic that this one would get a 10. It is very well centered, little to no whitening on the card whatsoever. Like I said, many of the variants, like the Dark Dragonite, not that it should have gotten a 10, but the holo version got an 8.5. The non-holo version got a 10, same booster box. The Dark Charizard, the non-holo version, got a 10. This one, very mint condition, got a 9. I think that, once again, there's just, I would say there's outright evidence. I know I'm not the only one that thinks that the grading has gotten significantly harder for vintage Pokemon. I think it's a net negative for them. Like, I'm very loyal to PSA. Not that I'm necessarily a huge fan of their service. I just think they're the lesser of all the other evils. With that being said, I will be taking my business for the extreme high end of cards. Like the Dark Dragon or the Dark Charizard in a PSA 10 is like a $3,000 to $4,000 card. I'll go to BGS for that if they're going to give me a more fair grade because they're more confident in their system. So, with that being said, another one of my just Team Rocket in general, the holo patterns on these cards are sick. Like, look at that. Back in, like, what is this, 1990, 2000? Like, you kidding me? Like, that is a sick holo pattern. Just an awesome card. Got the 9 on that. The Dark Hypno, but just a huge fan of the art. Another favorite, the Dark Slowbro. You got the shell. The colors look awesome. Cosmos holo foil. You've got the Team Rocket member in the background. Just an awesome card. Once again, you think back to 2000s, like, this is just prime time Pokemon for me. Love it, love it, love it. Have not been able to get into the new stuff at all, like the Iron Crowns and like the just like they like all the new Pokemon just don't do it for me. I have zero connection whatsoever. No desire to collect the cards. But you give me some 151, give me some Team Rocket, I'm all over it. So Dark Alakazam, not the coolest artwork in Team Rocket, cool card. But at the end of the day, nothing like some of the others. Dark Arbok, I do like this card. You can see kind of the plants growing next to him down in the grass there. Fun fact, Arbok spelled backwards is Cobra, for those of you that didn't know. And yeah, just a really cool card. Got the 8 on that. We have a Dark Magneton. This was actually a test I wanted to do. After I got all my cards graded, I went on Z&G Emporium and bought a PSA 9. I bought this card. It was a PSA 9 because I just wanted to do a test. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. Buy a 9. I got it very cheaply, and I submitted it with one of my Lorcana submissions to see what it would get, to see if there's any basis for my theory of like they grade harder now, and it came back an 8. So it was a 9. I cracked it. No additional damage to it, anything. Put it in the sleeve, sent it. It got an 8. So I just wanted to kind of like back my theory up a little bit, which it did. Dark Vileplume, this one got a 7. This is the lowest grade I got for any of the holos. There's a little bit of whitening. Not really sure what got it a 7, to be honest. It's a little bit OC, but overall I think that that it's a really cool card. Cool art. Can't really top that. And then last but not least, we have probably the least holo card ever, the Dark Weezing with the dark the dark. I promise it is holographic, hard to see, but it's just got that very dark background. Funny enough, this card is very easy to get in a 10 because the hollow pattern is so hard to see. The surface usually gets a 10 automatic, but this one did not, and it got an 8. So, with that being said, guys, that is today's Collector Corner. Love me some WotC Pokemon. Can't beat it. Love it. 10 out of 10. So, with that being said, guys, that is going to be the end of today's video. We'll be back with the first chapter box opening this weekend in combination with the monthly market recap. We'll try to get that out on Sunday. It's quite a bit of legwork, but we'll try and get it done for you guys. Apart from that, I will talk to you soon. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Bye.